What's up, big dogs? I'm a guy named Fuzz. Welcome back to Defeat the Monster Within. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, the trap. Okay? The trap is a simple concept, but it's layered with a lot of nuance. So we need to kind of peel it apart and see what's going on inside. So the first thing you need to understand is that everybody has their own trap. And everybody's trap is designed especially for them, for their individual pitfalls. What does that mean? Everybody's trap is designed especially for them. So the monster is a very intuitive bitch. She knows everything about everybody. If you think of the idea of how God and the monster are the same entity, like I've talked about in previous videos, then you have to recognize that if God knows everything about you, so does the monster. So they both know everything about you, all of your weaknesses, all of your strengths, and the exact perfect ways to destroy you or to lift you up. Depending on your situation and what you're going through in your life, my trap might look a lot like your trap, and they might be very similar in a lot of ways, but they're not the same trap. Your trap is designed specifically for you and for the little things that you will fall for, that will suck you in. And they may or may not be the same or different from anybody else, but the uniqueness of yourself and your life makes it so that it's not possible for any two people to have the same exact trap. It's just the same way, two snowflakes can never be the same, which sounds improbable to me. I feel like they got to have been in history from all the snowflakes that have fallen. At least a couple of them had to have been the same, but that's neither here nor there. But this is the thing, this is kind of the fucked up thing about the trap, is that, you can find a channel like this, or you can follow other people to tell you good information and help you dig out of whatever trap you may be in at the time. But as you begin to understand the trap and fight your way out, it will change. The monster will say, okay, this one isn't working anymore, let me adjust this to make the person steer them back where I want them. You got to keep this in mind, that it's going to change, and it will happen again and again and again. Every time you start to notice that you're in the trap and you start to figure it out, you say, okay, now I know exactly what I got to do. Boom, and now you're on top of the world, right? Because what happens with life, we have these ups and downs. You might be on a downswing right now, and then you figure shit out, and you start climbing and climbing and climbing, and then what happens? You get to a spot where you've peaked, you get to that top point, and then something happens. The trap changes, and you sink back down. We have this ebb and flow of life, and so the goal is to make these upswings longer and more intense, and the downswings shorter and less intense. And I think I've talked about that before in previous videos, but that's, in essence, is the goal, is to, when she figures out that you've noticed what the trap is and she changes it, you can quickly notice the change in the trap and adjust on your own. So it's you going back and forth. But the trick is we got to stay vigilant. We have to be always on our game, really paying attention. We can never let it slip, because the moment we get complacent and start letting ourselves slip, boom, she's got us by the balls, and the trap is going to morph around us, and we're not even going to know what the fuck hit us in the face. That being said, the point is, if you're staying aware and you are paying attention to what's going on and you have an understanding of how this shit works, every time the trap changes, you will notice. Or not necessarily every time the trap changes, but you will notice when you're starting to fall into the trap again, when you're starting to go onto that downswing. What we need to be aware of is we need to be constantly being aware of our state of being, of how we're feeling, if we're feeling good and we're feeling like we're ready to kick ass, or if we're starting to feel like, I need a break, or fuck, dude, this sucks. Because if we're starting to feel in those sorts of ways, then that should be a red flag for us to say, hey, what's going on? The trap must have changed, and I'm falling back into it, so we need to figure it out and get back on the upswing. But an important thing to point out, this is why the Forbidden Five is a thing, is because these things are forbidden for a reason. If you indulge in the Forbidden Five, what is it? Let's see if I can ring it off the top of my head. It's no negative self-talk, no mind-altering substances, no lusting, no mindless activity, and no self-destruction. So I know that's kind of vague. You can go back and watch the program video. It'll describe it a lot better. But these are the activities that are sucking you down into the pit. They're sucking you in, and it's like a fucking, once you get caught into it, it's like a vortex. Especially like drugs and alcohol, That's the one that I've struggled with a lot. I'll think, okay, I'll just have a couple drinks, and then the next thing I know, it's 9 days have gone by, and I don't even know what happened. That's the way the monster will work. Is she'll make you feel good, and you got this. Okay, yeah, totally, I can do this, and then boom, next thing you don't know your ass from your elbow. Fucking days have gone by, and you can't even figure out what the fuck's going on. But it starts with smaller things, and depending on your specific individual trap, it could start with a whole variety of things. Maybe you saw a meme on Facebook and it reminded you of your ex-girlfriend, and then the next thing you know, you're doing meth in the fucking down the street in the crack house. Like, I don't know what your specific trap is, but the way it works is it starts subtle and it builds on itself, and once you're caught, it's very difficult to pull yourself out until you really figure out what's going on and basically the deeper you get down into the trap, the more effort it takes to get out of it. So if you can notice you're in the trap and what's going on when you're on the surface, you can step out of it easily. But if you wait and let the trap bury you down deep down into the earth, then you're going to have to dig your way back out. And depending on how far you let it bury you, that's the amount of effort it's going to take to dig back out. And the subtle thing that always happens for the beginning of the trap, and this goes for everybody, and this goes for even the people that they don't seem like they're in the trap and they seem very successful and like they got everything going for them, they are still on that surface level of the trap, of their personal trap. And they just happen to be good at noticing when they're falling into it and stepping back out. So they ride this wave up high into the sky. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for us as a group, is to figure this out so we can use this knowledge to our advantage and we can stay vigilant and stay aware of what's happening, and we can continue to take forward steps that rise us instead of bury us. There's one other thing I want to point out, that it doesn't really go with the trap, and I'm probably going to do a future video on this to elaborate. I feel like I give off the impression sometimes that you need to do everything perfect all the time. Which ideally, yes, that would be great. Like if you go back and you watch the video of the program, those rules for the program are pretty fucking strict. I don't follow all those rules all the time. In fact, to follow all of those rules all the time is extremely difficult for anybody. But the point is you don't have to win on everything all the time. Like if you can just score higher than the monster on a consistent basis, you will eventually see positive results. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that, if you're beating the monster 5-4 every day, 5-4, and you could be beating the monster 6-3 or 7-2, you're going to see different results, right? So if you're beating her 5-4, your results are going to move slow. But if you're taking those points and you win 6-3, now you're going to move faster. And if you take the same points and you win 7-2, now you're accelerating your growth and your success. So that's kind of the point of the whole system, is to gamify this so we can be scoring against the monster, and as long as we keep our score higher than hers, then we are on the path to defeat the monster. If you liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe, leave me a comment, send me some hate mail, whatever you want to do. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Keep kicking ass.